All right, good evening, BRSSD families. I want to thank you for joining us tonight in our middle school information night session tonight. For those of you who don't know, my name is Dan DeGuara, superintendent of our school district, and I'm joined by our assistant superintendent, Ching Pei Hu, and our three amazing middle school principals, Ryan Hanson-Vera, Gloria Higgins, and Sabrina Adler, and the assistant principal of Sandpiper and Nesbit, Talia Carter. Welcome all, and thank you for joining us. You know, I have a 13-year-old boy who's in 7th grade, and I can just say middle school is an amazing time, full of changes, full of different experiences, and really a lot of excitement for our students. And I'm really happy that you're joining us tonight. Our three principals, I want to just say, have been working incredibly hard. They've been working incredibly hard together, which is a little bit different of a presentation format. In past years, you've had presentations from each of our middle schools. This year, our three middle schools are united in a single presentation to share the academic opportunities for parents and students across all three of our schools. Some differences, but more similarities than differences. Our kids, regardless of what school they go to, are going to get an amazing education with outstanding opportunities across all three sites. So I'm really excited to have the three joining us together. The other thing I'll add is we have a relatively new middle school leadership team. Both Ms. Hanson-Vera and Ms. Higgins are in their 2nd year in the district. Ms. Adler is in her 1st year with BRSSD. All three of them experienced principals before joining us, but I really will say that the newness amongst the team has allowed them to collaborate, to really mash ideas together, not only in support of their schools, but in support of our district programs. So thank you for that support. And of course, Talia joining us new this year as well. Just a fantastic background and a great addition. So I'm going to turn it over to the experts, to Ms. Hanson-Vera, Ms. Higgins, and Ms. Adler. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you very much, Superintendent DeGuara. I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm Gloria Higgins. I'm the principal at Sandpiper. It's so nice to see the number of attendees here today. Other principals may want to introduce themselves.
Hi there, I'm Ryan Hanson-Vera. I'm the principal of Nesbit School, 226 attendees. Thank you for being here tonight. We can't wait to share information about the three amazing choices for middle school and BRSSD.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Adler, principal at Ralston. I have two great assistant principals who are also new to the district with me this year, and we have been very busy, so I gave them the night off tonight, but you will meet them at some point in the future. Welcome.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Talia Carter, the assistant principal at Nesbit and Sandpiper. I'm really excited for you guys to learn more about the amazing middle schools that we have in our district.
And Ms. Hu, do you want to introduce yourself before I start sharing?
Sure thing. Good evening. I was unmuting at the last minute because my dog is in the back here drinking very loudly. Good evening. Thanks for joining. As you'll hear from our three wonderful leaders, 4 leaders here today, all three programs have something great to offer. Your children are going to do well and thrive regardless of which of the 3 middle schools you choose. We want you to see the strengths of each school. We want you to see the individual personalities, but know that it's not a competition. There's not one best school in our district. We pride ourselves in having 3 great options for our middle school students. So please do ask your questions in the Q&A, and I'm just going to bow out now and sit quietly.
All right, thank you so much. Do make use of that Q&A feature. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Give me just a moment to get that going, and we'll kick it off. All right. You're up, Ms. Hanson-Vera.
I had to unmute. Thank you, Ms. Higgins. Okay, so Nesbit's team is a vivacious, energetic, and amazing team. Pictured there below are our fantastic middle school crew. I can't wait for you all to meet them. They are a dedicated group that work so hard to offer the best of themselves to our children, and they all love being in the middle school level. Prior to joining Nesbit, I was a middle school principal. So I feel like joining another TK through 8th grade site, I've come full circle and I get my dose of little kids and to still work with the middle schoolers who I truly love working with. We have a wonderful front office staff, which I hope that you'll get to know. Our administrative assistant, Linda and Susan and Elena in the front office are always there to offer support and answer your questions. And we are so lucky this year to be afforded a full-time counselor, Mr. Paul Lucic, who has a wonderful background and also a soft spot for middle schoolers and works incredibly hard building connections and working to uphold our school's mission and vision. And then of course, we have Talia, and a little bit about Talia's background that I'll brag on before you learn a little bit about her is that she's also in her former life is a staff developer at Teachers College, the reading and writing workshop program that our school uses as our core practice. So it's wonderful to have her expertise and instruction as she takes on her role now as an administrator. So that's the Nesbit team.
Hello again, Sabrina Adler. I am so excited to join BRSSD this year. I came over from the Redwood City School District. I was the principal of Kennedy Middle School the last 4 years, and I actually have 2 students in the district. My daughter is a 4th grader at Central, and my son is a 1st grader at Central. So it's nice to be on the administrative side, but also be a parent in the community as well. As mentioned before, I have 2 assistant principals, Kelly Jorgensen and Patrick Wilson. It is a brand new administrative team at Ralston this year, but we are moving and shaking, and there's a lot of great things happening at Ralston with our great team. What's nice for us is we have a counselor that supports at each grade level, and we have an admin and a counselor that loop with the kids as they go. So this year, I am with Ms. Rocha, and we are handling the 6th grade, and we will follow them all the way through. Ms. Robles and Ms. Jorgensen handle the 7th grade, and then Ms. Sam and Mr. Wilson specialize in the 8th grade. We all work really closely together every day, so I still work with the 7th and 8th graders very closely, but my job is to get to know every name of the 6th graders this year, and then as many of the 7th and 8th as I can, which I'm getting better at. We have a great office staff as well. Laura, Audrey, and Terry are here to support. And for those of you who know Mr. Donovan, who used to be an assistant principal at Ralston, he says Ralston is a mini city, and he's kind of right about that. There's always a lot going on with 1,100 students and a big team to support.
All right, and here I am. Ready to introduce you to the Sandpiper team. Again, I'm Gloria Higgins, the very, very proud principal of an amazing staff, including, as you heard, Miss Talia Carter, who is our assistant principal. We are very fortunate to have Dan Stark as a school counselor at Sandpiper. And again, just truly grateful to the community, parents such as yourselves, and School Force, and the grant that we have from the health district to support full-time counseling. He's an amazing addition to our staff. In our office, we have 2 wonderful women who work for the school and for your students. Miss Rogers is our administrative assistant, and Miss McGuire is our student services secretary. They can answer just about any question that you have regarding enrollment or attendance, anything like that. They are there to help you.
And so just a little bit about the curriculum that's provided at the different middle schools. You'll see for the most part that we all use similar curriculum. The difference happens to be in the English language arts curriculum. And so at Nesbit and Sandpiper, we use Readers and Writers Workshop, which is what's used in kindergarten through 5th grade. So I think it just builds really nicely off of the work that your students have already been doing. And something that's really unique about the workshop model is that the goal is really to instill a love of reading and writing in students. And so that's done as students learn how to write different genres of writing. It's done as they study different genres of reading as well. And students always have a plethora of books to pick from within our classroom libraries. And we make sure that students are matched up to just right books, which allows teachers to really differentiate and provide individual goals for all of our students and kind of help them grow throughout their middle school journey. And then Sabrina, I don't know if you want to share a little more about Study Sync.
So Ralston uses an online platform called Study Sync. It is thematic units in each grade level that pair with a novel. So the students will read the novel and do reading and writing work around those novels, different books in each grade level. However, our staff does make it a priority, even though it is the bigger middle school environment, to conference with the students to give them feedback on their writing. And then we also have the ability to do smaller lit circles in the classes where students get a choice of different novels that they want to read to discuss and do work around in their smaller groups. So it's a combination of both those things. Talia, do you want to keep going? Do you want to say anything about the other curriculums just briefly?
Oh, sure, I can. I know like the Desmos Curriculum, which is used for math, is a wonderful platform that students use on their computers. It's incredibly interactive, and it's something that we piloted starting last year. And so it's been really exciting to see the kids engage in it this year. And I know it gives teachers immediate feedback as well. And so the kids seem to really enjoy using the Desmos curriculum and seem to be really engaged in learning in that manner. For history, we use TCI, which is just a really interactive curriculum as well, where students have simulations. They also have access to a lot of curriculum components online, and it ties nicely with the work that they're doing in language arts because they do a lot of reading and debating and really thinking about issues that they're learning about in history. And then for science, we use STEM Scope, which do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Sabrina?
Sure. So we have an integrated approach in science. So we use the STEM Scopes book as our curriculum, but then include other pieces to supplement that as well. Lots of great online features, and do different pieces of biology and chemistry. Again, that integrated approach where it's not what it used to be, where it was earth science, for example, in 6th grade. 7th grade used to be more of the biology focus, and then 8th grade was more of the physics focus. So again, you're getting pieces of that in each grade level. And then finally, we have Character Strong, which is the social emotional learning curriculum that we are using. And I saw a great question in the Q&A asking about what the counselors do. And they provide academic support to our students, but they also support their social emotional learning needs. So they're helping us with the Character Strong curriculum and bringing that into our homerooms and our schools, as well as meeting with students when things are not going so well and helping to really support them in all different ways. And again, in collaboration with the administration.
Okay, so physical education in each middle school looks a little bit different. Nesbit's approach is that PE takes place 7th period, 4 times a week. We do not have PE on Wednesdays. The classes are actually led by the teacher team, and the classes are a mix of students from 6th through 8th grade. We feel that that's the best opportunity for networking and relationship building between our students and getting them interacting in activities together. And at Nesbit, we like to make sure that those groups shift and change. So every 5 to 6 weeks, the team reorganizes and reshuffles PE groups. That also gives students the opportunities to get to know another adult. So they may have typically 8th grade teacher as their PE coach, right? And so they're getting to know one another, and we think it's just another opportunity to build relationships with Nesbit's PE program.
Again, Ralston follows the traditional middle school model. So PE is one of the students' regular classes. As you'll see when we get to the bell schedule, all students have their classes 4 days a week for 54 minutes. So no different for PE. We do dress out in the locker rooms. That is part of PE and preparing for high school. We've got 5 credentialed PE teachers on staff. And we have students that are in different units with our different teachers that rotate. So it could be things like basketball, flag football. One of our teachers is starting archery next week. We've done soccer. They're doing a fitness unit right now. So a lot of different curriculum. They do a unit for about 4 to 6 weeks and then rotate. We've got our 6th graders in 6th grade PE classes, and then the 7th and 8th graders are combined into a combo 7th, 8th grade PE class.
And at Sandpiper, we are very fortunate to have an amazing PE coach, affectionately known as Coach A.A. Ron, Mr. Van Laar to you and I. He supports our middle school students with PE twice weekly. And you're going to see a little bit later on that Sandpiper has a block schedule that has double long periods. So his PE periods are twice as long, but half as frequent. So twice weekly for 110 minutes each time. That really allows him to incorporate fitness, nutrition, and sport into his block. We're not running the kids for 110 minutes straight, but he does break it up with those fitness concepts, the nutrition concepts, and rules to different games and different activities.
So here you'll see the Nesbit bell schedule. So please note times are may not be the same next school year, but this is a really good understanding of what a regular day at Nesbit looks like. We have a 7-period day with a break and a lunch, and we like to chunk our day into sections. So you can look at 1st, 2nd, and 3rd period as that time before break or recess. 1st and 2nd period, students are working and reading and writing workshop with their homeroom teacher. This is a wonderful opportunity because this block period, children are together in a cohort, but they're also experiencing instruction from the same teacher. So every single middle school teacher at Nesbit teaches a section of reading and a section of writing, really focusing on that relationship building, as well as staying true to our model practice of Readers and Writers Workshop. And this happens every day of the week. After break and recess is when those other rotations happen, when we offer math and science, social studies, and history. The groupings will switch, and then those teachers focus on one additional instructional area. We are fortunate, Nesbit, to have an amazing science teacher. Ms. DeWood is our science teacher, and she offers instruction to all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And then, for example, if I were to talk about 6th grade, we have 2 6th grade teachers, Mr. Ting and Miss Marsh. Mr. Ting and Miss Marsh both teach a reading and writing section. Mr. Ting is then the math teacher, and Miss March teaches social studies. So that is how we make our little cohort for transferring between classes. After lunch is when we offer PE, our electives, and our group switching.
At Ralston, students have 7 different classes, but they actually only have 6 of them each day. We have a floating 7th period that replaces a different class throughout the week in the schedule. We have around 300 to 400 students in each grade level. So they mix and match like a typical middle school. So you could have math 1st period, it could be 7th period, 3rd period, no consistent order. Students will get to meet lots of different people in their different classes when they switch classes. All of our teachers are single subject credentialed, so they are an expert in their area. So a single subject credential in math, for example, or science. So they only generally teach one subject area. Classes are about 54 minutes. This is our current bell schedule for this year. It will be changing to incorporate a longer snack break later actually this year, and then we may have some other changes next year. So it's a work in process from our leadership team right now, figuring out where we will be going with this in the future. But again, a lot of different variety for the kids, and similar to a high school model where they get used to switching classes and having different classmates each period.
And at Sandpiper, we have 60 students, up to 60 students per grade level, and we break them into two cohorts. The 1 and 2, please don't read that as a hierarchy. That's just for labeling purposes. So we have 2 teachers in each grade level. One teacher teaches science and math. The other teacher teaches English language arts and history. And you can see that the students have that double long period. So there are 3 double periods each day with a break and a lunch in between. And they alternate between science on one day and history the next, or ELA on one day and then math the next. Their PE is in the same block as their elective period. So they will either go to PE with Mr. Van Laar or to their elective teacher. And that's the period of the day where students may mix up and be in different cohorts than the cohort 1 or the cohort 2. It's based on the elective choice that they have. Each block is 1 hour and 50 minutes long, and they do have a 10-minute break and a 40-minute lunch. And as Sabrina and Ryan mentioned, those times may change just a little bit next year. They'll be pretty consistent, but they may change a little. Wednesday is our Genius Hour and Alternative Learning Lab day. So they spend that first period on Genius Hour, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that later on. And that second period of the day is an advisory learning lab where students may be in a different teacher's room. They may go to both teachers that day. And if they have an IEP or need other services at school, they receive those services primarily on that at that advisory learning lab time.
Okay, so electives. At Nesbit, we implement an electives wheel, and all students take 1 elective per trimester. We have a really unique opportunity that since all of our teachers get to teach an elective of their choice, that they're really teaching from their passion. So this is a list of the current electives that we offer, but every year there's a little bit of shift and change as teachers may want to differentiate a bit what to offer to the children. So we offer currently right now leadership, Spanish, design challenge class, a brand new technology course called Technologic, which is an awesome combination of technology and math, a film study class, fine arts, and then all 6th graders that fall trimester take advisory, which is a great getting to know middle school type of course that really helps prepare them for the expectations of middle school as they transition from 5th grade. So it's an essential course for us and something that we feel is very important. Just please note that like electives are always changing based on staffing and credentialing. So though you'll see a variety of things listed at all 3 of our schools, that this is one area where you'll see some ebb and flow every school year. But those are the electives Nesbit currently offers.
One of my favorite pieces at Ralston is our elective program. In 6th grade, students have a choice between taking the wheel, band, orchestra, or choir. In the wheel, they'll get to experience 4 different electives. So we change up the quarter. And so they'll get art, for example. They might get to do fun with physics, fun with French. So they'll get to try out a variety of different things to see what they might like as a 7th and 8th grader. Then when they get to 7th and 8th grade, they have 2 periods in electives. Some are semester long and some are year-long options. Our music and language classes are year-long options, but we also have some of our other classes that are also year-long. If you really, really like art, you can take it as a semester course or as a year-long. Same thing with coding and animation. These are our current offerings this year. However, we're excited to bring back our culinary arts class next year. So I didn't list it, but it's coming back. And I really love STEM, and I'm looking to bring some more hands-on robotics and green technology and science into our electives program next year. So a wide variety. Many of our elective teachers are single subject elective teachers, so that's their expertise area. However, we do have some math teachers and science teachers that are teaching related kind of electives.
Okay, thank you. And at Sandpiper, we try to focus on 2 choices per grade level, 1 tech related, 1 humanities related. These are areas of passion for our teachers, and so they really are interested in teaching the content during the elective time. In 6th grade, you can see that tech choice is a digital media course, and the humanities choice is a cultural arts choice, where there's a variety of different types of art media and projects that the students complete during that elective time. I do want to speak a little bit about Genius Hour. That's an important part of how Sandpiper offers students an opportunity to explore passion areas. So during our Genius Hour, which is open to all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, students choose a topic of their choice, and teachers support them with instruction on how to do the research and set a goal for themselves and create a presentation and then share it and communicate it publicly with an audience, while students choose the content of what they're learning during that time. If you heard our board presentation last month in December, you heard a student say that Genius Hour is really the opportunity for a self-manifested sense of purpose. It's something that's very popular with our students and empowers them in their learning. And as Ms. Hanson-Vera said, the choices may change depending on credentialing and staffing and lots of different factors. I will say that periodically throughout the year, the entire middle school gets together, and students in all grade levels get to experience a menu of different topics for a couple of periods each time.
So music and art opportunities are made available at all 3 middle schools. So I'll discuss what Nesbit offers. So at Nesbit, music is an optional class. So we offer band and string class 1 time a week, and that happens during the 7th period. So students that would, oh, my lights went out. The students that would like to participate in that have the opportunity to opt in and do so. For art, we partner with a wonderful organization called LEAP, and they offer monthly lessons in the classroom to provide art instruction for all of our 6th through 8th graders. We also offer a fine art elective, so this allows our students to get exposure to wonderful art instruction and curriculum. I'm going to go do a little dance now, so my lights turn on.
As mentioned, music is part of our elective offerings. So 6th graders can take band, orchestra, or choir. And then we have multiple levels, so you can audition for our honor sections of orchestra and choir and band. Privately, they'll set up times with one of our 2 teachers to figure out if that is a good place for your students. And then we, in the past, have had students that have music experience at our school and have not offered beginning music programs before, but I've heard that the interest is there, so we will be sending out a survey to those who are coming to Ralston to see if there is interest in beginning band, orchestra, and choir next year as potential new electives offerings. For art, again, it's part of our elective program. This year, all students are getting art as part of their reel in 6th grade, and then those that love art or ceramics, or there's an option of art and ceramics, will have that opportunity as 1 or more of their electives in 7th and 8th grade.
At Sandpiper, very similar to Nesbit, we do have strings or band weekly before school. We kind of treat it as a before school opportunity for students. We do strongly suggest that students have experience with their instrument if they're going into strings or band, but that's not strictly required. If a student has a strong interest, we can work with that. For art, we do have our lessons provided monthly through the LEAP contract. That's also supported by School Force and our PTA. So again, thank you, families, for your support of those organizations.
So I see a lot of this coming up in the chat. Sports, I will say that though Nesbit and Sandpiper are smaller sites, we do partner with Ralston, and that all opportunities for students eligible can try out for teams at Ralston that are not offered at either Nesbit or Sandpiper. So I want to just put that out there, that we want to make sure that extracurriculars like athletics are provided for all of our middle schoolers. At Nesbit, we offer flag football, basketball, and volleyball. And these are all dependent on interest and coaching availability. So these are the teams that we currently have interest in offering, as well as the coaching staff for. I will shout out the Sandpiper Stingrays for partnering with Nesbit this year. We had a joint flag football team, and man, they made it to the finals, and it was wonderful recovery from a really hard year of COVID last year. It was a wonderful sport to bring back, and it was great to have a collaborative effort and share that pride as a district. So that's what Nesbit's offering for sports. I'll pass it over to Sabrina.
Again, we have a larger student body population, so we tend to have more sports and more sports teams. Typically in each grade level, for each sport, we have 3 teams usually. Could be more if we have more coaches. So usually there's an A team, and then there's 2 B teams in each grade level. So for basketball, volleyball, again, a 6A team and 2 6B teams, trying to get as many kids involved as possible. We had a large cross country team this fall that did really well and competed with lots of other schools. So we do compete in the Art David Athletic League and compete against schools in San Carlos, San Mateo, Foster City, Half Moon Bay, Palo Alto, our neighboring districts for great competition. They play their regular season, and then they have playoffs and championships at the end of the season.
And I'll just reiterate what the other principals have said. You can see there the sports that are offered at Sandpiper. It is a very exciting opportunity for kids. They truly enjoy that experience. And we're very grateful to our partners at Ralston for working with us to offer sports to the Sandpiper and Nesbit students that they might not otherwise get to experience. And Ms. Hanson, Vera, you can we can join teams anytime.
I love that. Anytime.
Anytime.
So we also make sure that we are motivating and encouraging our students with a variety of clubs and activities. In particular for Nesbit, being a TK through 8th grade site, it's very important that we're giving our middle schoolers leadership opportunities so that they can contribute to the larger campus, as well as network with one another and participate in activities that help them build their relationships. So we offer a board game club and leadership and robotic opportunities. These typically happen, are clubs that are offered during the lunchtime as well, so that kids have really great engaging activities to participate in during that lunchtime. And we also offer after school support. So our teachers offer about twice a week after school support for homework, but also just for socializing and having a time for the students to connect and be together. We have community service that is mandatory for 8th graders, and there's a many variety of opportunities where they can contribute to the campus as lunch buddies, facilitating and running campus events, or being mentors or coaches to other students.
Ralston offers a variety of clubs. Some are before school, some are during lunchtime, and some are after school. There's a variety that are run by our staff, but then we also have parents that have taken lead to help with some of our clubs. And also our web students, where everybody belongs students, their job is to help make students feel included in middle school. We know that it can be a big and daunting place. So, and again, I saw in the Q&A, the web leaders meet with all the 6th graders before school starts and orient them to campus and do icebreakers, take them on a tour, and then they lead some different clubs throughout the year, other fun activities, along with our student government leaders as well. So a variety. I would say this year it's a little bit smaller due to COVID, so there'll be more offerings next year, but a lot of different needs and interests for students. So you can see there's a wide variety here. We are starting our auditions for our school musical, The Lion King, next week, and we'll be performing that in May. We've got math Olympiads. We partner with the Palo Alto group called CARA for grief for students who've lost a parent or a very close family member, and have a lot of different student activities that are happening on campus.
At Sandpiper, you can see there the list of clubs that we have or have had in the past. Robotics is a very big and very popular activity and club here at Sandpiper. I'm excited we have planned a tournament for February 5th, and I think that's going to be able to go off as planned, monitoring the COVID situation. Theater is another very popular choice here. And you can see the other options there that may be lunchtime clubs or after school clubs, including middle school leadership, our Rainbow Alliance, which is new this year, homework lunch, so for homework support if students need that, library helpers, buddies, and the mileage club. We're looking forward to bringing that back soon. I just want to iterate, I'm not sure I heard it earlier, but again, clubs can change from year to year depending on staff interest, advisor interest, and student interest.
And so I'm going to just share a little bit about the Learning Center and their resource specialist program. So if you have a child that currently has an IEP, they will continue to get services provided for them regardless of what middle school they go to. And so I'll give you a little bit of an overview of what it looks like at Nesbit and what it looks like at Sandpiper. And so at Nesbit, we utilize both a push-in and a pull-out model, meaning that there will be times where an ed specialist or paraeducator will push in to the content area that the child is in, whether that's their reading class, whether that's writing or math, and provide them services in the classroom. And there's other times where the student will come out and meet specifically with the ed specialist in their classroom to get more targeted support. In addition to that, at Nesbit, we have a directed study period, which is one period out of the day where if your child does have an IEP, they have this specific period dedicated to their work time with the ed specialist in the Learning Center. And that's where they'll work specifically on targeted things in math, work on targeted reading instruction, as well as any specialized goals that the student might have. And then you'll see there as well that in 7th and 8th grade, we use a co-teaching model. So we'll have the ed specialist being in the classroom with the 7th and 8th graders, almost working as like a second teacher supporting students in their content area. And then it's very similar to what takes place at Sandpiper as well. So Sandpiper also has the push in and pull out model where sometimes students will get services provided in their content area and their classes that they're normally in. Other times they will be pulled out into the Learning Center. Typically at Sandpiper, that takes place on Wednesday during alternate learning time. However, if student needs some additional services, that might happen at other times as well.
So Ralston doesn't have a learning center. It has a completely different model called RSP. So they are resource classes. And there are a variety of different options. So we'll start with 6th grade. In 6th grade, actually all 6th graders take 2 ELA classes. So it's actually called literature and composition. That's why they only have the wheel or the one elective for music. And so as a 6th grader, if you needed RSP support, you could either be in a gen ed class for those, or you could be in a resource class with an education specialist teacher to meet the needs for language arts. In 6th grade for math, same thing. You could either be in RSP math, or you can be in the general ed population. You also then have an option of directed studies for academic support, time to do your homework, etc. It's really a mix and match, again, program. So you could be in RSP language arts, but in a regular gen ed math class. It depends on the needs of the students. And we figure that out during the transition meetings in usually the March, April timeframe. In 7th and 8th grade, it's similar, but there are some differences as well. So students could be in the mainstream gen ed classes for ELA or math. They could be in a co-taught class, which means that there's an RSP teacher in there partnering with a general education teacher, or we have the RSP math and ELA classes with the education specialist teacher as their period for those subject areas. Again, we have directed studies also offered for students who need academic support and time to get help with their homework. We also have the support of many para-educators as well. So you will find those in the RSP classrooms, but then we try to, as much as possible, push them into some of the science and social studies classes to support our RSP students in those classes as well. We use the Study Sync curriculum for our ELA classes, Desmos and the CPM3 for our math classes. And then again, they get their academic support met in the directed studies if they opt to take that. And that would be their elective class.
So if your child does have a current 504 plan, that would travel with them to whichever middle school they go to. And at all of our middle schools, it's the assistant principals who are the case managers for the 504. So they're one of the contacts that you can always reach out to throughout the year if you have any questions or you want to schedule a meeting. So they're just someone in addition to your child's teacher that's also there to support them. And so regardless of which middle school you go to, there's always transition meetings that take place at the end of the year. So if you have a current fifth grader with a 504 plan, at the end of the year, there'll be a transition meeting with the assistant principal of whatever middle school they'll be going to, just so that we can make sure that we have all of the information, hear from the child's current teacher. And then as always, every 3 years, we review eligibility for 504s as well.
Lunchtime. We have gone to one lunchtime this year at Ralston. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade have lunch together. We have our admin team, our counselors, and then yard duties from Footsteps who are out there supervising. And then we have options of intramural sports on our field, in our gym run by some of our teachers, and then other clubs and activities offered by our web students, student government, and some of our teachers host clubs and activities as well. For our 6th graders, some of them are very excited to venture out and see the campus at lunchtime, and some of them just want to stay away from the 7th and 8th graders, although that fades pretty quickly once they get used to being in middle school. But there is a new designated area this year. The 6th graders have their own courtyard that the 7th and 8th graders are not allowed to come into, and so they can be there. Students can be in the library during lunch. We have basketball out on the basketball courts, again, stuff going on the field, and lots of different things to do at lunchtime. It is a busy and exciting time during the day.
And for Sandpiper, very similar. The 6th through 8th graders do eat and have their break all together. And they really do enjoy getting the opportunity to interact with each other and see friends across different grade levels. We do have a slight overlap with the 3rd and 4th and 5th grade lunch. So the middle schoolers do see the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders out there, but they do eat and play in separate areas.
And very similar for Nesbit. When it comes to lunch, we also have our 6th through 8th graders eating all together in the middle school quad area. There is an overlap for us for lunch as well with our elementary lunch. This gives our middle school leadership children the opportunity to help and work with the younger kiddos, but there are designated eating spots for middle school and the little kids.
Thank you, Principal Hanson-Vera. We changed up the order there on that one.
Okay, so homeroom. Homeroom for Nesbit is integrated into our first and second period blocks. Something unique that is like a stem off of homeroom for us is morning gathering. So our day starts with all of our students, TK through 8, meeting out on the blacktop for a morning message. And then students are sent to class. For community circle. We offer 30 minutes of social emotional learning and our positive behavior support program incentives, right? So we do that once a week on Wednesdays. We really focus on that social emotional learning. Another part of homeroom, it's a great time for student announcements, middle school activities and spirit days. This is a great time for our push-in and check-in with our school counselor. And I saw a question in the chat, what is the role of the school counselor? They really offer tier 1 support, meaning they are helping all of our students through social emotional support, just being another trusted adult on campus. But then also students can have appointments with the counselor for getting over a tough hurdle or if they need some additional support. So that's always made available. Another thing that we really make time for in homeroom is a grade review check-in with teachers. The teachers love to offer this check-in time during homeroom and they participate in progress monitoring. They do progress report check-ins with kids during homeroom time, as well as our 8th grade dedicates specific time for high school preparation.
Our homeroom is the first 8 minutes of the day. It's actually attached on 4 of the days to first period because you're probably wondering how we can possibly do all of these things in 8 minutes in the morning, which we definitely cannot. in that time frame. We do the announcements every morning. And then some of the student competitions, like it's a Spirit Week next week, it's Neon Day and Ralston Swag Day and Crazy Sock Day. So we count spirit points in there through our competitions and our door decorating. But then a lot of the teachers will bleed into their first time as needed to do a community circle, to do some of the PBIS supports. The teachers have a lot of different options from the Character Strong curriculum for social emotional learning support that they can choose from. So there's dedicated 6th grade lessons, but there's a whole variety in each grade level, and they get to pick some of the ones that they want to do and lead with their class. So again, often it will bleed into their first period a little bit when they're doing something more involved. And then sometimes we have some extended time for these as well. So for example, during conference week this week, we had a whole big extra block of social emotional learning time with our homeroom to really get into the nitty gritty. It was a good time to just talk about a lot of things going on, do more in-depth community circles, check in about grades and things like that.
At Sandpiper, our homerooms are the first 15 minutes of the day, and that's twofold. The reason for that is twofold. One is so that teachers and students can continue to build their school and classroom climate by checking in with each other. The teachers often have thematic days of the week, like Talk It Out Tuesday or Throwback Thursday or Fun Friday, those kinds of themes. Just so they're doing a lot of relationship building, a lot of collaboration. It's also a very important time where teachers and students can just check in with each other on how are we doing today? How are we doing as a class? How are we doing as an individual? Is there anything anyone needs? Those kinds of morning meeting activities happen in those first 15 minutes. There is some social emotional learning content at that time, but additional social emotional learning content does happen through our counselor during the elective period. Middle school has a weekly assembly, in addition to the weekly assembly that we have for the entire school, where they include those positive behavior and incentives for students. Also, the student leadership team handles student announcements and other kinds of spirit activities in that what we call Wednesday Wake Up.
So hopefully you've got a sense of the amazing programs that we offer within our district. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. I'm sure that there's a great fit for your child. All of our schools, as you can see, have excellent standard-based academic programs. We offer some amazing extracurricular options across our sites. There's space for social and emotional support and development, and all our schools really have an amazing school climate and a chance for students to connect with teachers and staff.
So I leave you tonight with 3 shining stars about Nesbit School. But before I do that, I want to share with you an important piece of our school's data. So our 2021 Youth Truth Survey data shows us that 90% of students at Nesbit School knows that their teacher cares about them. At Nesbit, teachers care and our students know it. We believe that strong supportive relationships between students and adults are essential for our campus. So I hope you take away tonight that one of the core values at Nesbit School is to honor the relationships between students and teachers. The beauty of our program is that we are a smaller environment, which allows for true personalization. Our teachers are able to diversify their instruction and their delivery methods, and they modify on the spot to make sure we're meeting the needs of all of our learners. Our approach is that we aim to empower and inspire our students. Our teachers and students focus on the values that we hope contribute to them being a successful student, but also having the social competencies to help them thrive through school and beyond in the community. And then our philosophy is that we are student-centered, and we're a student-centered learning framework. And that means that our middle school teachers plan, engage, monitor, and adjust so that our students not only achieve, but they feel connected to the content and connected to their teachers, and of course, connected to one another. At Nesbit School, we are respectful, responsible, safe, and inclusive. And on the count of 3, like we do every day at school, you got to give me a go Pumas. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go Pumas.
Ralston is our traditional middle school, comprehensive middle school with different teachers again each period where students mix and match. We have about 2 to 3 different teachers per subject area per grade level. So a lot of different teachers and a lot of different choices. It is a much bigger school, as mentioned, around 1,100 kids. And so there are a lot of opportunities to meet new people and make new friends and really grow as an individual and start learning to advocate for yourself and what it's going to look like in high school. I know a very popular topic is math. As you can see, I did a little quick paste of our pathways there, and I'm always happy to talk math. I am formerly a math teacher. I taught math in Cupertino and love to help out, very involved with our math department this year. So you can see a lot of variety. The maroon arrows are the traditional pathways, and you can see that there are options with the dotted lines. I will also make available at some point later, I did a principal's coffee about a month ago on math placement. You will learn that I really strive to be very transparent and communicative. So I don't have anything to hide. I like to share what I can share. And so I did a whole focus on math and really going through why proper placement is important and the different options. Again, one of the best pieces of a traditional middle school is the elective and club offerings. There are so many of them to explore and take, and it gives you a chance to see what you might like to take in high school as well. But it's a great time where you can take those risks. If you've always wanted to try art, or you've always wanted to try coding, this is the safe environment to do it and be excited about it. So I leave you with that. And as I always say on the morning announcements, make it a great day to be a Ralston Ram.
All right, and Sandpiper is really excited about the prospect of your student coming to join us for middle school. We're proud of the offerings that we have for your student and our community. We are a small school. We have about 150 middle schoolers, up to 180. We can accommodate in all 3 grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 8th. That does allow our staff to get to know students better, and our double periods provide some flexibility for longer lessons, like that science lab that takes just a little bit longer to complete, and we can dig a little bit deeper into some of those things. We are embarking, very excited to share with you, and you may have heard me say it earlier, we're embarking on a design thinking model for our school this trimester. All of our teachers are piloting different design thinking opportunities for students in classrooms. And we really define design thinking as problem solving grounded in empathy with a bias toward action. If you visited our website, you know that empathy is one of our profile of a graduate traits, and we really are instilling in our students that passion for connecting with each other and helping each other solve the problems that we face as a world. Genius Hour is another one of our innovative offerings for students. And as I mentioned earlier, students describe that as an opportunity for self-manifested sense of purpose. And you see 2 of our stingrays there with one of their Genius Hour projects on how to create film. And you see it there at the bottom, our purpose as a staff. We really see ourselves as empowering an inclusive community of critical thinkers who contribute to an ever-changing world. And we're looking forward to seeing your students next year. And with that, we have some next steps for you on this slide. These slides will be available. I saw this question in the chat, where will the slides be available? We'll each put a link to the slides on our websites. And you can also find these links on the district website at brssd.org in the enrollment section. But if you are a current student in a BRSSD school as a 5th grader, you would just need to complete the current student middle school choice form by February 4th. If you are new to BRSSD, you need to do 2 things. You need to complete the new student enrollment process, which is linked here. That will take you to the district page, and you'll see all the steps that you need to follow for the enrollment process. And then you will need to complete the new student middle school choice form. The enrollment priorities for each of our schools is that current Nesbit students have the priority to attend Nesbit. Current Sandpiper and Redwood Shores students have priority for Sandpiper. When we don't receive a form for you, the default enrollment is to Ralston. And just one last little, I see that thumbs up there, Sabrina. One last bit of information for you. Please pay attention to your emails over the summer. Make sure you use the email that you prefer when you enroll your student. That's how we'll communicate to you when our student orientations in August will be. And with that, I think we're pretty close to the end of our time, but do we want to look at some questions, panelists? Yes.
There are a couple that I think would be easier for you to speak to.
Great.
Can you clarify the 4 elective choices? I think it's a question about the wheel at Ralston.
So for the wheel, they have 4 different classes that they get to try out as their elective. So it'll be a couple that are assigned, and then we are hoping to let them at least choose one that they really want to try next year. That's different. This year it was wherever you got put in the cycle, you got to try those 4 classes. And then 7th and 8th graders, it depends whether you take year-long electives or semester. So if you have 4 different semester electives, then you'd have 4 different choices in 7th grade and or 8th grade. But for example, if you're in Spanish, you're going to have that for a year, and then you can have another year-long like music or 2 semester ones. So it again depends on what you sign up for and what you actually get.
Thank you, Mrs. Adler. Ms. Higgins, can you please remind us how electives work at Sandpiper? How many they get to choose, etc.?
Yeah, certainly. So we do take the approach where we like to offer 1 technology elective and 1 humanities option for students in each grade level. In 6th grade, there is the media arts technology piece where students are using a lot of programming, software and programs to create digital content. And there's the humanities, cultural arts on the humanities side, where students get to explore a lot of different art media like paint, clay, weaving from different cultures. We do just have the 2 choices because of the staffing that we have. We have 2 teachers per each grade level, so we have 2 options for electives. This year, I will say our 6th grade team has decided to try a switch in the middle of the year, so students get to experience both electives. In the past, it's been a year-long elective, and we'll see how that goes, and we may continue to offer that again. I would also emphasize that Genius Hour is an important part of how we offer students choice and the ability to explore different content. Students have control over the content during their Genius Hour by the project that they choose, and they're supported by the teachers in both classrooms, both 6th grade teachers in all the grades, support students in the process of research and exploration and communicating a presentation to an audience at the end of each cycle of Genius Hour.
Thank you. I'm not able to keep up with the last ones that are coming in. Another question for the 3 of you to answer. There is a question about if a sport doesn't exist at Ralston, are kids invited to try out for that existing sport at either Nesbit or Sandpiper?
Oh, I don't think that has come up before, but I would certainly welcome that possibility.
Same. I think that that's a great way to show our collaborative spirit. One thing to consider is that there are team sizes and things that we have to stay in guidance of. So I think that if that were a situation that would come up, like this is a team of principals that definitely would want to work together to solve it.
Thank you.
I agree with everything said.
I think we did a great, thank you, Ching Pei, for your support. I think many questions have already been answered, and we've already put in process the ability for us to capture the Q&A. So if there are things that come up, we can make sure that we're posting like an FAQ to our website so that we're addressing these things also in other presentations that we may have.
I also just wanted to reassure those of you that are planning to come to Ralston or sign up to come to Ralston that we will do a Ralston only info night for incoming students in March or April, where we'll talk more about electives, how you sign up, We'll talk more about the math pathways and what the placement will look like. So we'll go into more detail. This wasn't the appropriate venue for that tonight, as it's our shared presentation, so you can get a taste of everything. But I assure you, we will focus on all the things that you need to know and want to know.
Ditto for Sandpiper, and I'm certain that Ms. Hanson-Farrow will do something similar for Nesbit.
Yes, we will.
You will now, because I just committed you, I think.
There
All
are
right.
certainly probably more questions. Some of you have questions that have to do with test scores and placement process, anything that is kind of district-wide. You could feel free to ping me at my email address directly with your specific question. If it is not an appropriate question for me, I will direct it back to the principal. And you can also reach out to the team at any point.
And then just remember, the presentation slides will be posted to the front page of each of our websites, and this presentation has been recorded. So as soon as it's downloaded and ready to go, we'll make sure to share that.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good
Take care.
night.
Good night.